Welcome everyone. Thank you. My name's Chad Dyson. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Davenport. Today we're here at Credit Island to talk about flood recovery efforts right now with the city. We've had quite a few questions regarding the status of Credit Island, the status of the Riverfront parks, as well as special events that we have coming up in the summer here. With me today is Nicole Gleason, our Public Works Director and Assistant City Administrator, Steve Ahrens with the Riverfront Improvement Commission, and Alderman McGinnis of the 3rd Ward. I'm going to talk briefly about the status of Credit Island, which you can see behind me has sustained some significant damage to our causeway and the entrance here to the island. We have just recently been able to get visual inspection on this area. We have more to come, more work to do in that regard. So we are looking to restore as quickly as possible access to the island, but it's going to be a 1 or 2 month process until we probably have anything in regards to a temporary access to the island. And then of course we'll have longer term discussions as to a permanent solution or other ways to help keep the causeway intact during flood events. The other issue facing at least the Parks Department is our Riverfront parks. If people have been down there, you notice we've sustained significant turf damage, and that will likely need to be all replaced. We are in the process of getting those numbers together and working to, again, as quickly as possible, get those turfs restored and get our events back down, located back down on the riverfront for all the community to enjoy. I think that's my snapshot right now. I'll turn it over to Nicole. Are you going to come up next?
Hi, as Chad said, I am Nicole Gleason, the Public Works Director. The most exciting news of the day is we are planning to reopen River Drive fully tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So I know that gives people a lot of reason to celebrate. It's been a lot of disrupted commutes for people all over the Quad Cities, having River Drive closed. So we're really excited to be able to announce that today. The recovery complex otherwise, as you can see here, is complex. It will take time. We did apply for our FEMA assistance as of Tuesday, and that FEMA assistance is going to be for everything that's happened between March 15th and June 15th. So we've been diligent in tracking our costs related to the flood, but there's a lot of unknown costs still present, such as Credit Island Causeway, South Concord. There's areas we just still have not been able to see yet. So there will be a lot of information coming over the course of the next several months in regards to costs. So we can just hope you'll all be patient with us, and we will share that information as we have it. So we also do plan to apply for grants related to flood recovery through mitigation and try to improve some of our future flood measures so that we don't have maybe a significant damage in areas that we have damage in this particular flood. And finally, the mayor is still planning on holding a task force to look at the big picture of flooding all over Davenport. So that announcement should be coming pretty soon. And then Steve Ahrens is going to give us an update about a couple of the key events we have and our joint task force to look at the railroad crossing.
Good afternoon. A couple points that I would like to share with you. One is that the joint work group comprised of representatives from Canadian Pacific as well as the Riverfront Improvement Commission and the City Council continue to meet. Their next meeting is on Monday at 4 o'clock. These are open meetings, and the work group is working diligently to map out a way forward with the raised tracks along the riverfront. And so that group will continue to work in a very open and transparent way, working through a myriad of complex issues that confront us. Also, wanted to bring up a couple items. The Red, White, and Boom was announced yesterday. We're really excited about that event. It will be staged on the Davenport side, in particular at Modern Woodman Park, as you all know. But additionally, the Freight House Farmers Market will be open starting at 4 o'clock as well that evening. there'll be live music and festivities in and around the Freight House, which is helpful because the Centennial Park and Leclerc Park will still be tended to and cleaned up and all of that. And so those normal areas for viewing for Red, White, and Boom will not be as accessible, but certainly Modern Woodman Park and the Freight House area and view sheds beyond there will be. I wanted to also mention that the summer concert series, which has had a couple of different delays, now will kick off with a band at the Freight House Farmers Market on July 3rd, Red, White, and Boom Day. And we will be back at the band shell on Sunday, July 14th, and we'll resume our concert series. And I certainly think by later today or tomorrow, the revised schedule for the rest of the year for the summer concert series at the band shell will be posted. And I think those are my points. I'm not sure who follows me.
I think that's it.
Is that it?
Did any of you have specific questions we weren't able to address during the briefing portion?
I think I have a couple. I know you said it's still very early on. You guys still have a lot of areas you need to look like, but is there any sort of dollar figure you can put out there, a rough estimate, just to give people sort of a context for what you're dealing with?
Honestly, just the only thing we have firm numbers on right now is what we've spent operationally. And operationally with our own staff, we're nearing the $2 million mark plus. So beyond that, we have not done final engineering estimates for this road or South Concord or anything else. We are working through that right now, what things will need to be bid out versus what things we would do in-house. So that will be forthcoming over the next couple months.
When you talk about a long-term plan or solution for specifically like this Credit Island Causeway, what might be under consideration?
So mitigation, when you look at long-term, if you can find creative ways, engineering ways to do things that would prevent the flood from destroying a road, for example, by inserting culverts or bridge structures or other things that are more permanent. So we don't have any final solutions yet, but we do have a list of those things, such as Credit Island Causeway, that we will be targeting for more investigation and grant fund applications.
Could that maybe include raising the road? Would that be something?
Like I said, we haven't looked at that yet. At this point, we've mainly talked about if there's any sort of like prefab structure that we could put in to prevent and culverts to let the water continue to move. But again, it'll be a long-term planning issue.
What was going through your mind when the water finally receded and you saw this? I mean, it shocked me.
We were shocked, but almost a little bit expected it. I mean, this road's been underwater for 3 months. So we were expecting that the water does a lot of damage, just even on regular roads that aren't completely submerged. So the fact that this one, and South Concord have been completely submerged for 3 months, we were expecting quite a bit of damage. Yeah.
As far as the downtown area, has this flood season almost been the straw to break the camel's back, and something could be more permanent and finally take care of this? Or we just gonna roll the dice and hope Mother Nature doesn't kick us in the head year after year?
And honestly, that's the goal of the mayor's task force, is to take a hard look at long-term planning, the big picture type items. Operationally, we do have limitations, and so we want to look at long-term what is the best interest of all Davenport citizens and all properties that are impacted by flooding.
And when's the next meeting of that task force?
So that task force has not been announced yet. The task force that Steve was mentioning is the one that's related specifically to the crossings.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a mayor's long-term flood plan task force. Is that how we?
Correct.
phrasing
Yeah.
that? Okay.
He'll be announcing that, we're hoping, at some point within the next week or so.
Okay.
Yep.
I know in the past people have said that pretty much every flood is different, considering it's one of the worst and longest. What specific lessons do you think you guys have learned from this flood?
Honestly, especially with the duration and the height, it's just really put our flood plan to the test, and there'll be a lot of after actions to be done in the coming months to look at what can we do differently, what can we do better. Honestly, what can we do more efficiently? It does take a lot of resources to fight a flood, and we want to make sure we're looking at it holistically.
Do you have any examples, specifics so far? Just something that's going to be determined?
We are honestly really starting that effort now that we're below major flood stage. We've just been in active flood fighting mode for so long, we haven't had enough time to really pause yet.
Got it. And the last question, I know there's been a lot of talk about the downtown Davenport business Nicole that should be reporting on that more. Like, what's your response to them? What's their role going to be in the kind of after action learning from the flood?
I'm sure that they will be included when we at least a representative on that task force to help us make sure, and there'll be representatives from the west end, from the east end, everyone who's been impacted. We would like to represent on that task force, so we make sure we hear all the voices of those impacted by this flood.
And do you happen to have a date when that task force is going to be announced?
I do not.
I don't know if it was touched on. Is it just the causeway going in that took the biggest hit, or how did the lodge come out of the whole thing?
The lodge, to our best of our knowledge right now, is okay. It's pretty muddy. It took a lot of mud and dirt, but no structural damage that we've been able to at least visually see at this point. But as part of our recovery process and going forward, we'll definitely take into account, have some structural analysis to take a look and see if there was anything with it. But no windows broken, just mud.
Just out of curiosity, I know you mentioned quote unquote off air that you have some photos that were taken through drone. How's that affecting kind of the assessment of the damages, that kind of thing?
Can you repeat that? I didn't catch it all. Sorry.
Basically, I know you mentioned off air that there were pictures that had been taken overhead through drone that were available. How's that impacting kind of the assessment of damages and that kind of thing?
It's just another tool that helped us get a little bit of a visual on it. We're hoping Monday to be able to come in maybe more on the south end and get a look at the other part of the island. We haven't been able to get a look at that island to this point. So as far as the drone footage, it's a useful tool that helps.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all.
Thank you.